Hi, my name is Bartek. I am founder of e-homestead, and in today's episode we will be talking about crop planning. In last two episodes we were talking about how to design our garden, and today we will see how we can do crop planning in e-homestead. So let's get started. In last two episodes we were defining our garden. That's just for a quick reminder what we did. We have a backyard, front yard, and a greenhouse. In the backyard, we have one bed that we prepared for tomatoes and five beds for other vegetables. In the front yard, we have just 4 beds, and the greenhouse is the same as a backyard. Just there is just a one group. So as the selection of the vegetables is very individual, so let's do some exercises for tomatoes, cucumbers, and maybe carrots. So today we will be talking about the plant section, where we will define all these fields about the plant, about the vegetable, and see how we can do crop planning in a homestead called season planning. To define our plants, we have to go to the garden module, to the section plants. I already prepared some plants, but let's take a look how the form look like. The name is quite obvious. It's the name of your plant. Flat size. It is garden flat size. It is a very good practice to use the same flat size for the same vegetables, as we defined the same width of the garden bed as 75 centimeters, 30 inches. The same here is how many slots one flat has. Overseed, we can estimate how many plants we need or seeds we need, but sometimes the seeds are dead, so we need few more. And days in cell, it is in case if vegetable is not direct seeded, if we need to prepare some seedling. Harvest, since DTM. DTM stands for days to maturity. We can define for our information and plants in spot how many real plants we would like to place in a spot in a garden bed. We can also do mark that the plant is direct seeded, and then we can define the unit length and how many seeds we need. I'm using kilograms. How many seeds we need for that particular length, and spacing between these vegetables. Also, the multi-harvest, it's an option. You can mark yes or no. No means that you will harvest just once. Let's say some beans can be harvested once, and that's all. And yes, for example, cucumbers or tomatoes, if you can harvest them multiple times. And if you mark yes, a homestead will show you in a calendar, we'll talk about this later, show you a button to schedule next harvest. Okay, so that's how this form look like. There are a few vegetables that I already defined. That's how it looks for carrots. The same for cucumbers. Yeah, I defined some DTM for the particular time of year between May and June as a 60 days. So I will show you in a minute why do we need this. So once we have all these plants defined, we can go to season planning, and we can see our plants. We can click new plant and select. As you can see, a homestead already grouped them by seedlings and direct seed. And in this drop-down, you will see only those that you don't have any plants prepared so far. So let's take tomato. We can add new entry, seed, March, let's say the 1st of April. Days in cell we define between 14 and 21 days. That's why e-homestead suggests us to plant our seedling in the dead time. Yes, so let's say Saturday. Yeah, it can be Saturday. And let's say that we plan to harvest in June. We had some, and there is also some information that we defined. Flat size, overseed, spacing, planting spot, everything what we defined we have already here. And here we have beds selector. There is a main. We know that main is in our garden greenhouse. But we have drop lines. That's what we define for our tomato. And let's say that we would like to use 2 rows. Yeah, we have information that the length is 50 meters, width is 0.75. That's the name of our line. So let's save. Here we have information, 2 rows, 15 meters. That's amount of seedlings that we need to satisfy this requirement. It's 5.3 flat, so you can decide that will be either 5 or 6, maybe 5.5. That's really up to you. And 63. Okay, let's save it. Now we have more details, so we can see those information here. And also, if you go here, there's no tomato anymore because we already defined season plan for that vegetable. So let's start with the cucumber. Do the same, but we would like to see this, let's say, tomorrow. We will ignore this suggestion just because I would like to show you something in a calendar. And let's say like this. And overhead, it can be overhead. We can define either for the whole group or for the one row. You can use arrows or you can type from your keyboard. So let's say half of the row in overhead section. Yeah, and save. Okay. Okay, so we have all these informations. The same, the last, it will be carrots, direct seeded. So we don't have this plant section because we do not really plant this. And let's say where we can do this. Yeah, in our front yard. Let's say we would like to have 3 rows because we know that we have 75 centimeters width and the spacing should be around 20 centimeters. So the 3 rows should be good enough. So let's save it. Yes. Okay. And save. So now we can go to calendar and we can see some information. Carrots are not seeded. There's our nursery where we have information about seedlings, and there are some buttons that will show you what we need to do. Okay, so we know that for this week we need to prepare 8 seedlings in a 12 cells flat of cucumber alpha. That's for this week. We can also change this for the monthly view, but we don't have enough data for now, so the weekly view is good enough. So that's for the nursery, and in the field we know that we need 1/10 of kilograms of seeds of the carrots to seed. And here we can see it. We have information it's not seeded yet. Same. We have the button here. We have more details. How many seedlings? Second row, second bed, 3 rows. So that's how e-homestead calculates, do all these calculations for us, so we don't have to bother about this. Yeah, we have 8 seedlings of 12 cells. If I would click seeded, I have information that it was seeded today. Yeah, because I clicked today, so we have information it was seeded, and now it is not in a nursery anymore, because now we have to do a planting on a field. So here we can see our cucumber. Yeah, it's a half of the row. We can click planted. Also, it jumps here because it happened today. And now we have an option harvested as we plant here. And because we define the cucumber as a multiple harvest, we can do final harvest for today, or we can do multiple harvests. So we will be able to do harvesting in the future. So that's how this whole calculation stuff look like in a homestead. For the cucumbers, for the tomatoes, it looks exactly the same. We can define as many DTMs as we want, here or here. Everything is editable. Of course, if you see that it is not anymore, because it's a season planning, so it already happened. But also because we know that sometimes, let's see, maybe I can define something quickly, add a new entry, and let's define this in the past. Carrots, yeah, it can be carrots, and go to calendar. Yeah, so we defined this for the previous week, and I can click seeded. Seeded always means today, but also there's an extra button, seeded on schedule. So we know that sometimes you don't have time to go to your computer and fill in all these forms in a homestead. So you can click that you did this on schedule, then it will appear as a seeded at this particular time. Yeah, so now you can see it was seeded. It appears here. That's actually all for this episode. In the next episode, I will show you how the microgreens module look like. That's all for this episode. Thank you for watching and see you next time.